Thank you for joining us to watch the resources that are being made available for heirs in a series of heirs resources that is rolling out with the heirs property relending program. My name is Kanika Davis, and I am a national outreach specialist with the United States Department of Agriculture Farm Service Agency. I have with me today Sarah Campbell and Rusty Rumley, who is an attorney with the National Ag Law Center, and they will both introduce themselves.
Hi everyone, I'm Sarah Campbell. I'm USDA's Beginning Farmer and Rancher Coordinator, so I work on beginning farmer and rancher issues across the department, including land access. And so that's why I'm here working on some of the heirs property relending efforts, and I'm looking forward to having this conversation with Rusty today.
Well, thank you. My name is Rusty Rumley. I am a senior staff attorney here at the National Agricultural Law Center, and I do a lot of work on issues regarding land use and estate planning. So that's kind of my ballywick.
Thank you both so much. As we dive into these resources today, I just kind of want to explain why we are providing this. FSA has been in the process of rolling out resources for heirs since the 2018 Farm Bill. A part of those resources are the language and legislation that was approved for the county offices to work with heirs that come in that are seeking to receive a form number. We also have the avenue for heirs to work with the heirs property relending program, where they can work with those announced intermediary lenders that are there and available. At this time, we have 3, but the announcement is a rolling announcement. So you can feel free to check back on the farmers.gov/heirs website in order to see any new lenders that are being announced. We also have the certified mediation program, where heirs can work with certified mediators that have partnered with the USDA to provade those services within those states. And on the farmers.gov/heirs website, you will see a link to that certified mediation program fact sheet, where you will be able to identify what certified mediators and certified mediation services are available within your state. Today we have with us Rusty Rumley, and we just want to thank him again for taking the opportunity to sit down with the USDA Farm Service Agency just to provide some guidance as we're looking for this heirs property program just to roll out not only the heirs property relending program, but also the different aspects, as we talked about, the county offices as well as the certified mediation program. We know that a lot of heirs have questions like where to start, what are some things that they need to do when they first have found out that they have heirs property, and things of those nature. FSA has partnered with different organizations as well as heirs expert in the heirs property field. And as a part of that, Rusty is just going to provide some information today that we would think is very helpful for heirs to know and think about as they look to resolve some of their heirs property issues. So at this time, we'll get this conversation kicked off and started. So one of the first things that we wanted to ask Rusty, as we were just looking into some advice and information that heirs could be provided, is for individuals that have inherited heirs property, Rusty, what are some pointers that you will provide them once they have realized that they don't have this clear title and their land is truly heirs property?
That's a really good question. So first of all, let me start with saying at the Ag Law Center, we're not allowed to provide legal advice, but we can provide legal information. So these are more of like tips and things to be thinking about ahead of time, but at some point you're probably going to need local counsel to help with these issues, depending upon how complicated the matter is. So for people that are just getting started, one thing that I think helps is really helpful to find out what are the baseline facts. So how much land do you own, or how much land is at issue? Property lines can move over time. People can think they own more or less than what they really do. And that's even for property that's not heir property. So finding out, just how much land is at issue is going to be important. The second thing that I think is really important is to go back and see, well, who's the last person that had clear title? It might be a parent, a grandparent, a great-grandparent, depending on how far it goes back. And then start doing your research on finding out who those potential heirs are. who are all the potential co-owners. And I really can't stress enough, it's important that you go in there and start from scratch. Don't be making assumptions on who people are, because it's very common in families to refer to someone as a cousin or an uncle, and they may not be blood relation. They may just be close enough to you that it's just, the family calls them that. So it's really important to go back there and actually look at the records and see, is this person actually a blood relative? Because they may not be. And vice versa, there could be someone that is a blood relative that just wasn't talked about very much. Maybe they died a long time ago. Maybe there's some other reason they're not talked about. But it is really important to go out there and establish, how much land is at issue, and then who all are the potential heirs at law.
Thanks, Rusty. And I have a follow-up question. You mentioned that you all kind of can just share information, and that, somebody really probably does need to be will eventually need to be working with an attorney. I'm assuming somebody who's barred in their state. But when an heir gets to that stage and when someone is looking to work with an attorney, what guidance would you share with them on how to select that attorney and vet them?
So that's always tricky. So one of the issues that we run into with heir property is there's no two pieces of land in the entire world that are identical. And there are no two families in the entire world that are identical. So you're pairing up two very unique things. So you always end up with a unique problem. It's never going to look the same one situation to the next. So that's usually why it's important to have an attorney involved, because there's not really a cookie cutter way of doing this. Who does this is going to vary widely depending upon what state you're in. Some states do have resources that are available to help owners of heir property. Other state, some of it with some of the legal work. Other states, the options may be more limited. Generally, though, you're going to be looking for an attorney that's had a little bit of experience with land work, so like title work, things like that, and with estate planning. And a lot of your general practice attorneys are going to have some experience with that. Especially if it's farmland, another good option would be, usually there's a couple of lawyers at least in every county that works with the local farmers, whether it's buying and selling land or with USDA programs or something. Going and talking to one of those attorneys is another good option. And if you can't find one of those attorneys, most people can identify the coffee shop where the farmers hang out in the morning. Go down there, buy the farmers a cup of coffee, and kind of poll the crowd on who they use. You might be able to get a couple of names that way. But it's generally going to be a little bit cheaper to get a local attorney, just because they're not going to be someone that's having to travel back and forth to the county, because most of this stuff is going to be done in the county where the heir property is located at. So having that local attorney will help. Sometimes you may have to go farther out. Sometimes there may be attorneys that are willing to help that are located farther out. But that's going to be part of that initial legwork that the families have to do to start the process to resolve this issue.
Great. And that is just a good place to wrap it up on this one and tie that together. And again, reiterate that heirs property issues are very unique. So trying to ensure that you take some of the information that was provided today to apply that to help, kind of get your situation kicked off, the research aspect of it, and if possible, trying to look for someone local that can assist you with that, and just understanding that, this is an issue that while it can be resolved, patience is definitely critical. So we thank you for joining us today, Rusty, as well as we just look to provide a series of resources. This is the first of additional resources that will be made available. So we encourage you to continue to check back on our website to see when those updates have been made. But we thank you for taking the time out of your day to watch this video today and to join in on this discussion. Take care.
Thanks.